Welcome to the first in a two-part collaboration between SkipToGame and Groovy Gargar, where we will be discussing the two biggest names in video game pinball. Today, we will be discussing Zen Studios' Zen Pinball 2. More specifically, we'll be discussing what makes it so unique, as well as the meat of our video, Zen Pinball's top 5 best and worst tables. First off, why pinball? Pinball was a crown jewel of arcades, pizza parlors, and laundromats from the 60s all the way to the 90s, which definitely makes it more than a simple fad. While the actual industry has slimmed down considerably, the world of video games has given pinball a renaissance of sorts. So what makes Zen Pinball so special? Whereas many can enjoy pinball for the sake of nostalgia, Zen Pinball is about bringing the experience into the future. Zen tables aren't simulators or recreations, but rather they are larger than life. Unlike the plastic, metal, and wood creations you've seen in the back of a restaurant, Zen tables are notoriously bigger, with crazy special effects, from exploding or levitating balls, to characters jumping around all over the playing field, to the entire table turning upside down. Zen Pinball's goal is to give you the pinball experience, but on a level untouched in the real world. They currently offer around 50 tables. While they have a dozen or so of their original content tables, they also have some that are based on other brands, most notably Marvel and Star Wars, but also a few other labels like South Park and The Walking Dead. Tables based off these licenses give some fantastic translation of linear stories formatted to fit onto a table. Plus, it gives great opportunity to indulge in more than just simply smacking a ball around. In the middle of the game, you might have to stop to snipe zombies, or call upon Kun and friends to take on Professor Chaos. Zen Pinball is that unique level of innovation you didn't know you needed, in a bizarre medium you didn't know you'd love. And with innovation comes greatness, as well as less than greatness.
Astonishing miss! The goal was completely open and he sent the ball flashing wide.
So, let's get right into our top 5s. Fear itself is a confusing table because it seems to have so many things going for it that other great Zen tables do. Giant characters yelling at you,
I now summon the worthy!
More lanes and such than you know what to do with, a general sense of scale required of any good table. So why does it make the list? Fear itself falters in so many ways, it's just hard to care when you play it. First off, the aesthetic is jarring. When you take a deep look at it, we see the flippers are placed at the impact of Thor's mighty hammer, with magma or fire or whatever exploding outwards, raising Earth into all the lanes, with Captain America's shield smashed as the bumpers. But in the middle of playing this table, it's hard to not think it looks like a table covered in Cheeto cheese. The characters themselves are in no way iconic, being one of the very few tables that needs real knowledge of the story to know who they are. The whole thing seems kinda messy. This isn't new to pinball, as tables like World War Hulk and Earth Defense definitely qualify as messy. The difference here is that with those other tables, the messiness feels like an adventure. So many lanes that you'll never finish them all. Fear itself comes across as frustrating to comprehend. That may be bias, but that bias also comes from the fact that I've read all the stories the Marvel tables have been made from, and I can say without doubt, Fear itself is the weakest. The story in the comics was still fairly recent when it released on Zen Pinball, but outside of marketing, I seriously can't comprehend why this table was made. This judgment perhaps doesn't apply to the less comic-crazed folks, but for those who do understand, this choice as one of Zen's worst makes a lot of sense. When it comes to the mechanics of this table, it does okay. It has a movable wheel that I personally find frustrating, but it protects the back lane that goes around the flippers, which can be pretty hype, though arguably arbitrary. Its is a nice touch, and has a liberal ball save like most Zen tables, but its multi-ball lock requires some serious patience. The bright blue lettering is actually pretty hard to read against the Cheeto-colored table, especially during play, so I personally find it hard to tell if there's times the table wants me going up lanes or hitting the spots next to them. In the end, it's not the worst table ever conceived, but to quote Smoochie the Rhino, it doesn't need all the bells, whistles, and rickety-racketa. It needs more basics of what makes the other dozens of tables more fun. It also could afford not to be based off the weakest Marvel story I've read to date. I think Odin here said it best.
I am disappointed, but unsurprised all the same. Brains.
So remember when I said fear itself felt cluttered? Well, Plants vs. Zombies has to be the absolute most confusing and messy table yet. So why is it on the list? It may just be my opinion, as I've never designed a game before, but I feel if you're going to give the player way too much and make objectives hard to accomplish because of it, then you need to make the failed attempts of accuracy rewarding in their own way. With Plants vs. Zombies, just about every lane, bump, or ramp leads to good things. The title is self-explanatory. You play the plants of the iconic game of the same name, defending the world from zombies, who will occasionally jump out and saunter up close to you. As someone who has played and platinumed the original Plants vs. Zombies game, this is a very faithful pinball recreation. It retains a lot of the humor, is easier to dink around with, which is probably appealing to the more casual and younger players, but still has a fantastic amount of depth. I think a lot of that has to do with the source material. Missions usually involve playing against the zombies, but there's other fun objectives, like shopping at Crazy Dave's car for power-ups, or discovering other plants with general table exploration. All this really makes it a love letter to the original, which should be the goal of a pinball table. With its scale, you also get a sense that there's just too much to do, and you'll never find it all, adding a level of wonder that's pretty rare. It's definitely a little on the easy side, but overall, with the exploration and the youthful ambiance, it definitely feels like one of the tables you need to own. Plants vs. Zombies has had a rough go of it since the original, from the horrid free-to-play sequel to the awkward and haphazard Garden Warfare. Plants vs. Zombies has been a cash cow PopCap has been happy to milk for all it's worth. This pinball table, though? This table was done right.